grade class had worked with Emily Howard for several weeks on drawing, screen printing, expressing vegetables in many alternative ways. So it was really gratifying for me to bring them to a field trip that was a culmination of how vegetables are part of the Raleigh community. And so we began that by going to the Raleigh City Farm, and we had an amazing tour with Farmer Lisa and another person who works there, and just seeing how it sits a few blocks away from their school. And they harvested radishes and then brought the radishes to Centro restaurant, downtown Raleigh, and the staff there, who are fabulous, had prepared something for us, but in addition prepared the radishes, brought them out onto plates, and so within an hour the students had pulled them from the earth in Raleigh City, and now they have them on a plate during rush hour lunch in a Raleigh restaurant.
It's as simple as something that nobody knows it. Her eyes are as big as her bubbly toes. On the feet of a queen of the hearts of the cards, and her feet are all covered with tar balls and scars. It's a common as something that nobody knows it. Her beauty will follow wherever she goes. Up the hill in the back of her house in the wood. She loved me forever, I know she could.
Visual art is a form of communication, and so becoming fluent in making various types of artwork sets a tone for these students to be problem solvers in whatever subject matter. When they have a lesson from the classroom, whether it's social studies or science or math, by taking some of these complex new ideas and being able to translate them through art, they're finding another way of being in the world, another way of connecting something they learned in a classroom with real life.
I'm Emily Howard. I worked with Hope Elementary and Artspace to do a project, and I went to the 4th grade and did a project with screen printing and talking about healthy living and basically where do vegetables come from, and we did a lot of drawing vegetables, talking about the different types of vegetables that grow. We even talked about the different times of year, and specifically for us in our community, what type of vegetables are growing right at that time, which it was winter, so I got a bunch of winter vegetables from the farmer's market, and we drew those. Then we turned them into screen prints and wall hangings. And the kids were great to work with. I had a great experience, and Artspace was very hopeful with that. The 5th grade group, we focused on ecosystems and talked about specifically what type of ecosystems do we have here in our community, but then also around the world, and ended up focusing on the rainforest. And the students also did drawings as preliminary sketches, turning them into one big 3D spherical felted ecosystem. Again, a really great experience there with the 5th graders.
Well, he's not necessarily trying to say that he minds it, but someone plays evil tricks on that kid. And he's not necessarily trying to say God can't be trusted, yeah, but someone plays evil tricks on that kid. In certain situations, scream for deviations, but somehow we always get stuck in the middle of this and that, and man, he should try less. Every time he's rejected, man, he loses affection. But don't we just gotta give a little time? Maybe give a friend a call instead of making him confused. What a terrible thing for you to do. What an awful thing for you to say.
With the Brentwood Boys and Girls Club, it seemed like a really great choice to have Emily Howard take what she had been doing with felting into an ecosystem represented by a sphere and bring it, but because it's during spring break, they didn't have to be quite as connected to a curriculum. So rather than us talking about animals living within an ecosystem, we decided to talk about them in their environment. So each student was asked to draw something that they cared about and they knew they needed in their world. And they were able over the week, with conversation, drawing, and then eventually felting, to see how what they contributed, whether it was a bus or a certain building or street signage, it came all together. And so their voices were heard, and they could see how as a group it could come together to form this one beautiful unit. And so I think it really would have contributed to their self-esteem and their awareness of how, if they work together and if they're cooperative, that they can create something bigger, and also have an understanding of how adults do that as well in our world.
I also worked with Brentwood Boys and Girls Club, and we did another felting project similar to the 5th grade project at Hope Elementary. Again, a smaller spherical kind of 3D felted landscape of the community. Our focus was our community, and talked a little bit about the Boys and Girls Club, its community, their families, the schools, things we find in the community, buildings, people, even animals and other stuff. That program went very smoothly. It was 3 hours for 5 days for their spring break, so I got to see them every day, and that was really helpful. They knew exactly what we were doing the next day and would be on top of it. I had basically the same group of kids each day, which was nice, and help from both Artspace and the Boys and Girls Club with that program.
He was someone else because the posters on the wall, they don't look like a him at all.
Contemplating community was really at the center of what Tanya Castile worked with at the Raleigh Girls Club. And 10 lucky young women were able to have really a retreat over their spring break. And for 3 hours in the afternoon, Tanya set up a really nice structured environment for them to learn the new skill of how to hand build pots and draw. They started with drawing, and then they also did hand building every day. And it was obvious to me that each girl was able to learn the skill, learn it well. Everything was nicely balanced and designed, but also to really let their own voice come through. And I think ceramics and that repetitive nature of ceramics really contributed to the retreat-like environment of them thinking for themselves, how do you connect with what community? And Tanya didn't ask them, she didn't provide them the answer. She asked them to come up with the answer. What community? Is it your own family? Is it a sports team that you're a part of? Is it the girls club itself? And we were all pleased with the range of results. Each person had a different thing that they wanted to represent with their community jar.
All right, I'm Tanya Castile, and I'm a clay artist. And I enjoyed working with Artspace as a teacher, and I went to the Raleigh Girls Club. And I was there for a week and 3 hours every day, and we started out just learning the basics of clay, pinch pots, coil pots, getting a feel for it. Many of them had never used clay before. And then we started working on jars, and we called them community jars. And we spent some time drawing out on paper and brainstorming ideas of communities that they were a part of that were positive, such as school, friends, family, and sports teams, Girl Scouts. And they all picked something that really meant something to them, which I thought reflected in their interest in the project. They seemed really invested in the jars and the decorations that went on them. And at the end of the class, many of the students said that one of their favorite parts was working next to their friends and getting to, share and their ideas with the other girls of the Girls Club. So it was a good community that they were a part of, and they got to make a community jar that was meaningful. So I thought it was a good experience.
Everyone laughed at her joke, as if they never even heard it before. And maybe they were truly amused, but every word that she spoke was a bore.